Good day, my loves. Good day, good day. How are you doing? How are you feeling? I am sending you guys so much love, so much love. If no one has told you today, let me be the first to say that I love you. I do. Especially if you're on my channel. That means you've suffered a a lot. I hope you guys are doing well. It's just quick message. And I was sitting here and I'm reading my book and remember when you were young and you were taught to pray for over your food, and it was that whole God is good, God is great, and we thank him for our food. And so I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm like, God is good. God is definitely great. But I couldn't finish the rest because my ancestors kicked in. And my ancestors are warriors. That's why I put your ancestors are waiting on you, because I've said this before, that God and Yeshua have done their job. They've done what they came to do. They did their part. And now it's time for us to do our part. But you need help still, because there are unseen forces that are trying to manipulate your energy, right? And and I've said this in several videos. I've said this and I stand by this wholeheartedly. Um, is that nothing really changed in my life until I called on my ancestors. And I remember when I was working out, I'm gonna give you two synchronicities that let me know that I was on the right path. Our ancestors matter. I remember watching that movie. Every show you've watched, y'all, is a hint to your life and to your past and to your present. And remember that movie where it was actually a cartoon, and it was about Day of the Dead. And I can't remember it, but it was a cartoon. It was so good. And the guy was trying to get to his grandfather, or trying to get to a singer, and he crossed over to the dead side, and everybody knew that he was a live boy, that he shouldn't be there. And remember when they were trying to find a picture of his grandfather to honor him, and in order for the dead to cross over, they had to be honored, they had to be remembered, right? They had to be remembered. And in the cartoon movie, he went through the whole movie and everything, finally got the picture and understanding and overstanding about why his grandfather never came back to his grandmother, and put the picture up with all the rest of the deceased ancestors, and they were able to visit each other and all that other stuff, and he was never forgotten, because I think if he wasn't remembered at this point in time, that he would have been forgotten for good or something like that. I don't quite remember. That was one that came to me. But I was watching Sadhguru, um and it was like a flippant remark, because he didn't go into details about it, but I caught it. And he said, and I know it was directed at African Americans, because African Americans, Black people, have been disenfranchised and have been separated from their ancestral lineage on purpose, intentionally. And he said it, and it struck me like someone had hit a gong. You remember, you ever heard a gong, when they hit it and it just vibrate and you feel it throughout your whole being? He said, and I'm paraphrasing, that if you are not linked to your ancestral lineage, you will have a more difficult time here on this planet, in this incarnation. And that struck me as odd. It struck me as odd, but it was so poignant, and it was so like, wow, that was like mind blowing. And then I remember one day I was working out at one of my favorite places, and I forget how the conversation started, but the trainer was like, I forget how it started. I really do forget how it started, but I remember what he said and I remember my response. He was like, "Well, who are you praying to?" And I said, "Anybody who will listen." Of course, I was speaking of anybody as far as the light because I was in such turmoil and I was in such pain and unhappiness and confusion under the illusion of black magic. I was, right? And I meant what I said. Anybody who would listen. I was talking to everybody, honey. Anybody who worked for the light, anybody who had good in their heart, anybody who had a pure heart and authentic intentions. That's who I was praying to because I'm like, okay, something's going on, something's wrong. And go back to my very last video that I just posted last night, and I read an excerpt out of one of my journals from 2009. And you can see I was still battling the same things. I was praying to God, I was praying to Yeshua. And I'm trying to remember specifically when I called on my ancestors. I don't recall. I don't recall how, when I did it. I know the why, but I don't know the how and I don't know the when. But they answered me. My ancestors answered me. You are a manifestation of your ancestors' dreams. They are trying to talk to you and they want you to listen. I am in the process now of I was about to say ancestral veneration, and I'm trying to get to know them. Okay. I do have an altar, and on it, I used to say all the time, though, and this is just another synchronicity because I've said it so many times that the people that love me the most have died. And I'm feeling emotional now, but I'm not going to cry. And I meant it. The people who loved me the most, who showed me the utmost love and affection, died. That was my dad, my godmother, my grandparents on my father's side, my cousin Thomasina, my great grandmother, and my great great grandmother, whom I've only met one time. But those are the people that I have. And what I've come to understand, overstand, and understand is that my ancestors do not play about me. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. And up until this point, I have not done anything at all. But I pray. I pray to God. It's a difference. And I'm learning that now. I pray to God. I do. I pray to Yeshua because that was my foundation. But insert my ancestors. And I've been talking to them. I've always talked to my dad. I've always talked to my godmother. I've always talked to them. And because they were incarnated here on earth, they know the ins and outs of the going zones. I like that phrase, going zones. I just watched The King of Comedy. Thank you, Bernie Mac. Rest in heaven, rest in peace. And he used to say that. What's the going zones? Well, my ancestors know the going zones because they incarnated here before. So they are able to facilitate help in different ways. God and Yeshua, God and Jesus, or whomever you believe, Buddha, Mohammed, whomever you believe. Again, if you're atheist, let's have a conversation. Because anything I'm saying to you may not resonate. But if you're on this channel, then you're feeling something, or something has happened, or something has transpired in your life for you to seek answers that are beyond what we can see, feel, hear, and touch. Okay. But I wanted to let you guys know that if you haven't tapped in, if you haven't began to know your lineage, now is the time. Now is definitely the time. Okay. Namaste. Mazel tov. Ashe.